It is Election Day 2021. We have our KREM 2 teams spread out across the inland Northwest tonight at polling sites as the votes continue to roll in at this hour. Our Kyle Simchuk is in North Idaho. People are heading there to cast their final votes. The polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. So Kyle, we want to first talk to you about how it's looking out there.
Well, we've been to some different precincts right now. Right now we're actually at the County Elections Department. This is where all those ballots from all those different precincts, they'll be driven over here right after 8 p.m. To be counted. Now tonight in North Idaho, voters are going to be deciding the next mayor for Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene. So let's take a look at the candidates real quick for Coeur d'Alene mayor. Last spring, the current mayor, Steve Winmeyer, announced he would not be seeking a third term, saying 8 years is good. So right now you have Jim Hammond. He's a former Post Falls mayor, Coeur d'Alene city administrator, and 3-term state senator. You also have Joe Alfieri. He is a member of the Coeur d'Alene business community who served as a business developer for a local company before his retirement, according to his website. And then also Michael Lentz. He's a recent resident. He's been living in Coeur d'Alene for about 6 months. And in Post Falls, incumbent Ron Jacobson has been mayor of Post Falls since 2018 and is currently serving his 2nd term. You also have Austin Hillebrand. He has lived in Kootenai County since the late 90s. He made a name for himself in the Post Falls community as a brewer. So again, we're back here live at the Kootenai County Elections Office. Again, those ballots, they'll be coming here at 8 p.m. We expect the first batch to come in around 8:15. The election staff tells me they'll be updating that about every hour as more and more of those precincts come in. So Whitney and Mark, a lot of races to be watching here in North Idaho tonight.
All right, we'll check back in with you later this evening, Kyle. Thank you very much. Meantime, we are tracking 3 key races in the Spokane area tonight. So let's look at those races right now. First, for Spokane City Council District 1, seat representing Northeast Spokane, conservative Jonathan Bingle is taking on progressive Nagmana Shirazi. That's in the city's most conservative district and is the race for the seat being vacated by Kate Burke.
All right, next then, moving to Northwest Spokane, the City Council District 3 position, conservative Mike Lish running against progressive Zach Zapone. That's for the seat that is now being vacated by Candace Mumm.
And finally, an interesting race over in Spokane Valley for its City Council for position number 4. Current Mayor Ben Wick is taking on challenger Brendan Fenton. This is important because in Spokane Valley, the City Council selects the mayor. So if Wick loses or the makeup of the board changes and decides to take a different direction going forward, Wick could be cut out as the city's mayor.
So also on Washington ballots this year, 3 statewide advisory votes. Now that vote doesn't actually change the law. These advisory votes are just used to kind of gauge how the public feels about a specific issue. So this time around, one has to do with the capital gains tax. And you may remember the state legislature passed the 7% tax and then Governor Jay Inslee signed it into law in May. And while the tax took effect back in July, the taxes actually won't be imposed until the first of the year. It applies to the sale of stocks, bonds, and other high-end assets in excess of $250,000 for both individuals and couples.
All right, well, taking a live look now at Kootenai County's ballot cameras, going back to that story. As those votes are cast, the ballots elections officials are already at work processing the ballots again in Kootenai County. And while the ballots are already being counted, they can't tabulate them until the polls close tonight at 8 p.m.
So we know this has all been a ton of information. If you would like an in-depth guide to the general election this year, you can text the word election to 509-448-2000. We'll send a link right to your phone.
And we will have continuing coverage of tonight's election throughout the night on KREM.com and as well as KREM 2 News at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight. All right, let's switch gears now and talk weather with meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thomas, kind of a change in the weather today because, my goodness, kind of cloudy, a bit cooler, certainly feeling a whole lot more like November today.
Yeah, certainly, Mark. And the main reason for that was really the cloud cover, because even if we can get some sunshine during the daytime and the afternoon, it just feels warmer, even if the temperatures don't always follow suit. But none such in terms of the sunshine for today. Instead, just widespread and overcast cloud cover. Watching some rain moving through central Washington as of right now. It's certainly been raining heavily on the western side of the state. Looking at some radar returns, especially over Grant County, so Moses Lake up to Grand Coulee. Appears it could be sprinkling, but keeping an eye on these traffic cameras, I'd say that these roads look pretty dry at the moment. So I think any rain that we see out of this is going to be very, very light, kind of like what we saw from last evening as well. Temperature-wise, still in the mid-40s as of right now. That should cool off a little bit, but actually our cloud cover is going to keep us at least well above the freezing mark. We'll put it that way for tonight. Rain chances properly come back into the area this upcoming Thursday. And once that happens, we'll see a series of weather systems, each providing rain for the inland northwest, but not quite snow because it is a fairly mild weather pattern that is shaping up. We'll show you that weather pattern and give you a detailed hour-by-hour timeline of when that rain does return to Spokane coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Thomas. Thank you very much. Another big story we are tracking. Today, KREM 2 has reached out to several law enforcement agencies in an attempt to confirm a murder suspect's claim that his victim sold his daughter into sex trafficking. So far, both the FBI and WSP told us there is no sex trafficking investigation into the man whose body was found in the trunk of a car last month. A 60-year-old Spokane man is in jail tonight accused of killing his daughter's boyfriend. We are not naming the suspect or the victim in order to protect the minor involved in the case and the ongoing police investigation. Police believe the murder happened last fall, and the 20-year-old's body was found just last month in the trunk of an abandoned car in a Hilliard neighborhood. Neighbors there say they had no idea what was inside.
We walked past it several times, didn't even think much of it.
Nothing like this has ever happened to me anywhere I lived.
Police arrested the man and say he admitted to killing his daughter's ex-boyfriend. He told police the teen sold his daughter into a prostitution ring for $1,000 and that he had to rescue her. The 60-year-old has been charged with first-degree murder. Police say he has no prior criminal history. Big news for parents today. The CDC advisory panel has voted to recommend the Pfizer pediatric COVID-19 vaccine for children 5 to 11. A final decision could happen within the next few hours. I believe it actually did happen. If approved, a shot for kids could begin as soon as this week. The Food and Drug Administration has already okayed kid-sized doses, just a third of the amount given to teens and adults, as safe and effective for the younger age group. Doctors and advocates say the shots could help lessen the burden of the virus on kids, even beyond preventing severe illness and death.
The risk is too high and too devastating to our children, and far higher than for many other diseases for which we vaccinate children.
More than 67,000 American children under the age of 17 have been hospitalized for COVID infections since August of 2020. Pfizer already began shipping millions of doses to help pediatricians and health professionals prepare to get shots into arms.
The Salvation Army will now help provide isolation areas for people who test positive for the coronavirus. The Spokane Regional Health District says 6 of its studio apartments will be available for the next 12 months. Those spaces are typically for people who need to quarantine but may not have the resources to isolate themselves at home. The Union Gospel Mission Facility has been providing those spaces for the last several months. The transition from there to the Salvation Army spaces happened just yesterday.
Washington state health officials say COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations appear to be plateauing across the state. They say the situation is the same as what it was during the peak of the winter surge last December.
If the numbers ramp back up, particularly given the low vaccination rate in Idaho, that may increase the pressure again on Washington hospitals.
Right now, the number of hospitalizations across the state has stalled at around 1,000 in recent weeks. Meantime, here in Spokane County, about 146 people are hospitalized with the virus.
Well, we are still covering elections all night long, and coming up after the break, we're heading out to those watch parties as candidates and voters get ready for the results to unfold. Don't go anywhere. We're back after a quick break.